I'm fed up. I'm done. Sorry to clickbait you again. YouTube's recent algorithm change seems to have made views very weird and messed up, and so we're trying again with this pro-China title and description and whatnot thumbnails to see if it will drive up the views and the algorithm change will follow. So sorry again for doing this, but if it's necessary for the time being, we'll do so. China claims it is now a high-trust society, but they still have videos like this, stealing chicken. It's a high-trust society, and so that things should be viewed differently now because China is different. And no other country, ask yourself this too, which other country in the world, or if an actual high-trust society country does this, where they employ so much online resources to try to reconstruct the image in the eyes of the Western perspective of what they once were to what they're now, and to have to hire so many Western faces to do that. The only country I can think of is China. And so for them to claim this, you have to ask yourself, is it really true that they are truly a high-trust society? The answer is no, because they still do things like this. A woman finishing her noodles and dumps entire bottles of vinegar into her soup bowl, it's just to make extra work for the worker and to waste condiments. Or this one here, a high-trust society, a woman took out a fish and offs it with her feet so that the dead fish is much cheaper to buy than an alive one. A high-trust society, well, when we're at the toll booth, this man is asked to pay 30 yuan for the toll, but with a discount,
不打折的话30块钱，打完折37.68元，你不用有没有跟我开玩笑？啊？没有啊。
Or they literally filmed fake animal rescue videos. In this one, which was circulated around before people called out their lies saying that this is a fake video, a cat is stuffed inside the bricks and then they took it out as a rescue video. And they don't just fake it with this cat video rescue, but they also do it with other things like live streaming and whatnot. There's so many examples. How about painting trees green? Oh, how about whenever they have a new tech, like new phones from Huawei or new electric cars, they send out this massive wave of protection for that brand or that specific product. So anytime you try to offer criticism for it, you are met with a huge wave of comments or just simply like bashing you for saying, how dare you call out this product, it's perfect. Honestly, if you have a really good product, it should speak for itself. You hear about the Android fanboys or the Apple fanboys. You never hear about the Huawei fanboys or the BYD fanboys. Here's a Huawei phone that was inside the pocket of this girl, and then she took it out to find that the screen has been completely detached and the phone is now broken. Such great phone technology. How about EVs? You gotta cover them up. You can't let people find out that when your car breaks down, what Chinese brand it actually belongs to.
理想又上分了。
为什么啊？
Or in this case, the dashboard display has gone dark. You have to play Russian roulette to find out if you got music turned on or something else in the settings. Yeah, they tried turning it on and off again, doesn't work. So we call these the CCP, Communist Combustible Products.
这什么车啊？不是特斯拉，这
比亚迪跟蔚来，这烧的是比亚迪烧的。
No other country employs such a massive number of bots online just so that they can post daily images and videos to paint China as a beautiful place. Simply, quality isn't the strong suit. Propaganda is. I recently had a crash out, I'll be honest. There was a bunch of people on Twitter, on X, posting these comments like this one here, says that he spent $45 and bought so much food from Audi in China. So it implies, right, that China is now the #1 economy because food is so cheap. Look, 45 US dollars. Look at you, filthy Americans. You can't even buy groceries for 200, 300 US dollars. And here's me in China being able to afford this table full of groceries. We got meat, we got vegetables, we got ice cream, we got drinks, we got everything, to feed yourself for the week for only $45. What do they expect you to do? Are you going to book a plane ticket, fly to Beijing, and spend $45 to buy this grocery and then bring it back to America? No, what they're trying to say is that, look, China's much better. So I had some fun with it because I'm on vacation, I'm in Amsterdam, so I went to a local grocery store, which is essentially like Aldi, but similar prices. Aldi in Europe and is essentially almost like a discount store or a cheap grocery store, right? So I went to this place and one next door, and I bought myself some bread, some pastry, some cheese, butter, drinks, fresh juice, etc. for about 23 euro, which is about half of the price of what he spent. And then I basically spent yesterday arguing online with people about how dumb that whole thing is. The truth is, he didn't spend $45 in China. He spent 320 yuan in China to buy that grocery, which is when you swapped out the currency exchange, it's about 45 USD. So think about it. Would a Chinese person in China go and say, wow, I went to the grocery store, I spent 45 USD to get groceries? No, they would be like, oh my God, all this cost me 300 yuan to buy. That's what a regular Chinese person would do. Except this person who's an expat who just lives in China and probably has a job somewhere else, makes foreign currency. Yeah, if I went to China, I can say everything's cheap as well. I can go to a grocery store. I can drop 50 bucks and get myself groceries a week worth of it. But I don't do that in the US or in Europe. I don't go and say I spent 6,000 yuan and got myself a nice little iPhone. Wow, it's so cheap or it's so expensive. You don't use a foreign nation's currency to buy something in your own country. In other words, it would have been a more fair comparison if they had done, say, how much would 50 yuan get you versus how much would $50 get you? And we all know that 50 yuan, you probably cannot get much with that because when you actually spend the local currency, like living like a local, like a Chinese person, then the price of it is different. Because guess what? No matter if you make 3,000 yuan a month or 10,000 yuan a month, how much it costs locally versus how much it costs in the US, it's the same for those people who live in that area. Nobody goes around and says, wow, I live in the New York City area and I spent 70 euros on groceries. No. I think the real question is how much would it take for an average person in China to make 45 US dollars versus how much it would take for a person in the US to make $45? Well, a Starbucks employee in New York can make that in 3 hours. A person in China has to work 30 hours or so to make that same amount equivalent in yuan. And then some CCP shells were talking about, oh, you're not counting for purchasing power parity in your calculation, how this is about $80 or whatnot. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, most people in China aren't spending USDs. They're spending yuan and they're spending money that's in the local currency. So to them, 300 yuan is 300 yuan. To us, it can be 7,000 or $8. It doesn't matter because to represent a country's grocery cost, or even to attempt to say that, wow, China's much cheaper now, you'd have to actually live like a local to say that, right? So why do you think Chinese people find every single avenue to try to scam their way out of free things or to steal things, to grab free things like free plastic bags to put your produce in? Well, it's because lives are tough in China. Not everybody lives like this. 600 million people live on the poverty line in China. That's half of the country. And then for people to claim that, oh yeah, all of China is like this, or all of this is that, it's simply not true. And that's why you have videos like this, where they went to a hot pot restaurant, Haidilao, and then they brought their own soup base, brought their own ingredients to eat, just so that they can scam the restaurant's free stuff, like the complimentary snacks, complimentary toys, the complimentary nail service that you get when you dine at the restaurant. The decades of CCP brainwashing means that everybody's out to get everybody. You scam him, he scams her. But that's a cycle, it comes around. Just because you gained a little bit of an advantage over other people, it means others will get it back in some other ways. And that really is the representation of the CCP mentality, or this hyper-materialistic embrace, or embracing hyper-materialistic values in society. And this recently happened, which I think it's actually the result of the cycle. So there's a chain restaurant. It was reported by a streamer / entrepreneur who basically called out the company saying that they've been using prepackaged food items to serve as restaurant menu items. So for those of you who might not know what that is, it's essentially they produce this ready-to-eat dish, kind of like frozen microwave meals. Basically, it's like frozen pizzas and frozen microwave meals. And then they call that restaurant ready-made meals, which is essentially if you went to a restaurant like, let's say, Olive Garden, and then they come up and serve you in 30 seconds with pasta and pizzas fresh out of the microwave. That's essentially the prepackaged meals in China. So after this was found out, they obviously first denied it, and they said that people can come and see their open kitchen concepts and to see how they work behind the scenes. And they even wrote out this menu to kind of make fun of that streamer / entrepreneur who exposed this, saying that, order any items off of the menu from this special menu. If you don't like it, we'll give you a refund. So they denied the whole thing. And then people actually went to the kitchens, including reporters. They found out, well, in this video, that a kitchen staff was using a strainer to stir around and unclog their drain. In a separate video, it shows that same type of strainer was put in a wok. And so you could guess that maybe they washed it with soap and detergent or whatever and water and cleaned it, and then they reused it. Maybe they didn't wash it, who knows? But it's just nasty, right? It's like you don't wash your veggies and produce with water from the toilet, or you don't clean your mop and then use it to wipe down your counter. It's the same idea. There's a reason why certain things are made for certain ways, why there is a toilet brush, not a all-purpose kitchen / toilet brush, So obviously that's disgusting. And then so some of the stores closed down this open kitchen policy. And they also found that they were using GMO soybeans to cook the food. So that's, again, not really good, not very healthy. And then I say that, so the millions of people who have dined there at different chains in China, think about where they want to vomit out their food. They obviously can, but it's like, it doesn't really matter if you think you're getting the advantage in some part of the country. Others will find a ways to kind of pay it back in other ways to screw you over. Some people say, well, the US is full of prepackaged meals or things that are, never expires. Well, not really true, because let's say, okay, McDonald's, KFC, fast food chains, they got their crazy chemicals in there. That's true. But if you look at any of the other similar chains to that of Xibei, this chain restaurant in China, let's say Panda Express, you clearly see behind the scenes of how they cook their dishes, they're cutting up things, and they're actually making the dish that you get in a combo. Or take places like Olive Garden, or maybe something like Red Robin's. Yeah, those dishes take a while to come out. Or even Texas Roadhouse, where they have to cook your steak in the back per order, not come out in 30 seconds with a microwave. One of my favorite places, In-N-Out. I think also Five Guys does this as well. They fresh cut your fries and they cook the burger patties fresh to order. And so those things take a while to come to your table. But yeah, they're freshly made stuff. And if you go to a place like New York or LA, and then you're saying that kitchens are pre-cooking your meals and reheating them up in a microwave, that's unheard of, right? That's just simply not how things work in the West. That's actually why they need this entire propaganda army dedicated to protecting their image, because one, they create fake lies all the times, and also second, just simply because their lie about being a high-trust society simply doesn't yet exist in the concept and minds of the brainwashed Chinese people. How about this example? Recently, it was found that they were faking on Chinese social media, by the way, these Japanese profiles they essentially stole actual Japanese content creator videos from like social media outside of China, and then imported them in onto Chinese social media, but then creating a fake patriotic profile saying, this person belonged to the Japanese Communist Party, or that person agrees that the Yukio Islands belong to China, those kind of things, like basically to feed the brainwashing aspect inside China. You really see that Chinese people really exist in this vacuum, in the sense that they don't know what the outside world is like, but yet they are so fueled and injected with all these lies from all of the pretended or created voices that feed into this propaganda thinking. And then so in order for them to create this sort of uniform agreement, right, to say that we all love China, or we're all patriotic, we all love the party or whatnot, so that the trolls on the outside on like Western social media can go out and have this so-called evidence or backing to spread their lies to the American people or whoever else is watching. All right, thank you so much for watching this episode. We'll be back very soon from vacation and back to our regular content. And we'll be also starting up live streams soon every single week to hope to engage with you guys, and we can do lots of fun things. So let me know your thoughts in the comments about this topic and everything related to the channel. We'll also have that Forest City episode out very soon. So thank you again to those that donated to the campaign. All right, until next time, bye-bye.